Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have another interesting Leela game to share with you. On the white end, Leela Knight Odds, no King Knight for this game, playing against Grandmaster Joel Benjamin. This was game 1 from their 8-game match. Classical time controls, 60 minutes, 30-second increment. This is one of the cleanest defeats you'll find of Leela. I really like Benjamin's approach in this one. It is primarily positional throughout, with just a little bit of calculation sprinkled in there. Now, with how this match started, it was 2-0 in favor of Benjamin, and I thought we were well on our way to something very close to 8-0. That was far from the case. Now, right out of the gates, I should note, meeting c4 with e5, I like this. There isn't that natural pressure on e5. There's no king knight to develop, put pressure on this point. Additionally, this follow-up plan of c6 seems perfect. Not only are we building here in the center, but in a way, black is saying, you want to commit that queen early to c2? All right, great. After d5, if you're ever chopping away, how comfortable is that queen going to feel? You can bet there will be a tempo in black's future against that queen if the c-file opens up. So from here, bishop e2, d5, bishop d6. Of course, Leela loves the space. Grab some right here with c5. Bishop not really inconvenienced at all, still on a perfect diagonal towards the king. From here, b4, castles, d3. So already, in a way, an important moment. What kind of structure do you want to play against Leela here? We have the move e4. Joel ensures that this bishop, its eyes will be opened up towards the king. What he's trying to avoid, and he expressed this after one of the games, after this game, in fact, he didn't really want to see a locked center. Kind of allows Leela to slowly build up on one wing or another. He goes with e4 in this position. What he doesn't want to see is this pawn established on e4. He goes with e4 himself. Now, I was just talking about he doesn't want to see a blocked center. White's response here is with bishop to b2. Now, white could play d4, and there you go. We would have a blocked center, but this is an exception. He would be perfectly fine in this scenario because he would have a ready-made attack towards the king, with the king already committed here on the Kingside. Bishops both staring in that direction. The pawns telling you which way to play, drawing from the base point to the head of the pawn chain. It says head left, go after the king. Everything is saying that. So this wouldn't be a concern, in short, seeing white respond to e4 with d4 blocking the position in this way. It's bishop to b2 here. Joel increases the pressure on d3. We get the capture. Knight takes. Bishop d3. f3. Right around the corner. This bishop needs to find a stable square. g6 it is. And now, what's right around the corner? Some simplification, potentially. Knight falling back to f6, and there you go. There will be a forced light square bishop exchange. Leela plays f4. All right, there's a big weakness now on e4, e3. Primarily, it's that e4 square that sticks out. Possibilities now for f5 in some scenarios. Where's the bishop going to go after that? All right, we continue to develop from here. Joel is not concerned here about f5 in the game. It's bishop to d4. If f5 is played, you're already asking for trouble. This queen could fly out here, and there's soon going to be an accident on these dark squares. Queen, bishop coordinating there. So this wouldn't be a good idea. It's bishop d4, knight d to f6. a4, queen e7, and now from here a5. So this may seem like a bit of a mysterious move. Why is white giving black an opportunity to completely freeze the queen side? Joel's response here is with a5, and the queen side is officially locked down, and we're going to pivot. And the focus will primarily then be on the king side. If a5 isn't played, b6 could be an idea to start to chip away at this c5 pawn, maybe looking for a follow-up a5 move, undermining the invasive c5 pawn. a5 in this game. a6, and the attention again is going to be on the king side. Crystal clear, this is where the action is. We're focused on the king side. This is where all the black pieces are. Small improvements from here by Benjamin. Complete control, bishop improvement, and now this idea to launch the h-pawn. This is going to create some weakness eventually in white's camp. h4. And now these next few moves are perfect for black. They tie in really well with one another. Knight h5. Perfect right behind the pawn. This paves the way for queen g6, and queen g6 paves the way for rook e6, and then there's this idea of even queen g4, and then the rook from e6 to g6. They're following in one another's footsteps. This is going to increase the pressure on this g file. g2, g3. g3 is red hot right now. Pawn, both knights. If ever this pawn is planted here, white would almost certainly be asking for a sacrifice. So let's see these next few moves. h3, influencing the light squares. Queen g6, rook e6, and now queen g4. Look at the queen activity. Normally, it's Leela who has the much more active queen. The roles are reversed in this game. Joel has the super active queen, and Leela's queen is still on home base. This last move is so active, it provokes knight g5, provokes this queen exchange. Now, I wondered, what if something else was played? For instance, a passing move. I tested out rook c2 here. First of all, and do know if white tries to play g3 to ease the pressure on g2, if ever g3 you're asking for a sacrifice, that's a winning way for black. But let's just say rook c2 was played here, passing move. How can you increase the pressure? That's looking good. Rook g6, and now what would white do about g2? Hit 3 times, defended twice. If you play queen e2, you're asking for a queen exchange. And if g3, in this case, well, let's see this sacrifice on g3. This is one of the cooler lines I came across here. You ready for this next one? That's pretty. Not with the idea to take with the pawn and land a fork, but you could afford the recapture with the rook. And now, who would be stopping knight g3 for mate next? No, no, no. It says you have to give up a full queen to stop the mate. Completely winning, of course, for black. All right, that was one of the flashier lines. My point is that if white is playing this g3 move, there's going to be an accident on g3. In this game, it's knight g5, take on g2. The rook recaptures in this game. If first queen takes queen, we'd go with pawn takes rook, check, and only then the recapture. So it's rook takes pawn, and there go the queens. Pop quiz. The only pop quiz I'm going to throw your way in this video. How would you continue here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, as mentioned, primarily positional throughout. This is that moment where there's just a little bit of calculation, and it really makes life so much easier here for black. Following move, knight takes knight. Now what do you do? In the game, it's bishop takes bishop. What other option does white have? If rook takes knight is played here, we chop on d3. Now, what are white's options? You got to take one of the pieces, get the material back. g7 for the moment is cool. It's defended. If in this position the knight is picked up, there's bishop e2 with the fork. No worries of a follow-up rook g5 targeting g7 because black can always hit back with f6, taming the pressure on g7 and throwing another punch at the rook. The alternative, swiping the bishop in this scenario, rook h6 is cool, knight's defended, g7 is cool, no problems ahead for team black. Clean approach. How does it play out in this game? After knight takes knight, it's bishop takes bishop. Following through now with this calculation, Joel spotted that he could continue with knight f3 check. Knight takes bishop, and he is in a spot to meet. Bishop takes rook with knight takes bishop. In the game, rook takes knight is played. If you take the rook, there you go. This is way too much material here for black. 3 minor pieces versus the rook. Plenty for black. So this is what he calculated here. Just going back quickly with this knight takes knight, knight f3 check, knight takes bishop, and then he was prepared to recapture on e6 and have the 3 minors versus the rook. It's smooth sailing from here. That's all that was really required. Once that buildup was there, that h-pawn going down here, and that knight h5, queen g6, g4, rook on this 6th rank, ready to join in on the fun on g6. Little calculation, and now we are in a much more simplified position, complete control, knight eyeing up a great square. This is now the focus, e3. White has to go on the defensive. White is playing on 3 ranks. Black in the driver's seat, clearly. We repeat a couple times. Eventually he comes up with the way to improve. This is a great square for the bishop. Eventually f6 will be golden. King improvement out of any nonsense here, out of any pins. Knight check, paving the way for f5. And then the plan from here, pile up on e3. All you have to do is put a little bit more pressure on it and it can't be maintained. Or I should say, white will have to exchange. Knight g4 is the way. 3 attackers and it cannot be defended a 3rd time. So the knight must go. And notice how the bishop is perfect right here, ready to now hop into f6. Rook improvement, going after the b pawn, down for the count. Even if one day these rooks get active and target the pawn, who cares? We're there securing it. King f3, no bishop takes pawn. Just keep the bishop around near the king. You could, of course, take the pawn and be still winning, but nice clean approach, piece around securing the king. This is going to be the focus still, the e3 pawn. Some timeout taken to make sure this king is flushed away from f5. He plays rook f7 here. You could take on e3 and, of course, still be winning, but I don't know. Are these h6 moves going to be irritating, undermining the bishop? Is there going to be some rook activity like this? Let's prevent all of that. Prevent any counterplay. This can wait. Let's make sure the king is out of our house. Rook f7, king g4, and now d4, breaking down everything. This is now going to be a focus. f4 hit twice, defended once. Now we collect a pawn and crash through on this f4 square. We're up the material, let's give some back and win the king and pawn ending. So this one goes straight to checkmate. As mentioned, very clean win. Positional throughout with just a little bit of calculation, and we have mate. So Final match score with this one, 4.5, 3.5. Very interesting match. What kind of match would you like to see next? I'm going to put up my suggestion here. I would love to see Carlsen play Leela Knight Odds. And here's what I would love to see. 8-game match, 15 minutes, 10-second increment, and give Carlsen move odds. And let's see some freestyle chess. Carlsen, very big lately with freestyle chess. How do you think that match would go? I'll say it's very close to 8-0 in favor of Leela. What are your thoughts? Anyhow, feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback to this video in the comments section below. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care.